Hello everyone, I'm Tianyi Wang. In our group, we will mainly talk about translanguaging and code switching. We will base on their definition to show some examples that may have some relationships between them and pedagogy for language teaching and learning. Now let's start from talking about the translanguaging first, and Luke will give a brief description of it.
Hi everyone, I'm Luke. Today I'm going to briefly identify the theory of translanguaging to you guys. Please look at our first question. What is translanguaging? A lot of linguistics have proposed that translanguaging means use multiple languages together. As Li Wei said, translanguaging is a process of meaning and sense making. Bilingual and multilingual speakers can use different language features together to achieve their daily communication aims. In the translanguaging, speakers will not be bounded by named languages. They have the power to freely manipulate different language features to make sense and select to use what features to construct their conversation. In doing so, the boundaries between named languages will become less important because all the features are working together, and we don't know when one language ends and other language begins in the conversation. Then, my partner Jessie will provide some examples of translanguaging to help you understand better.
I would like to share the translanguaging example. As a Chinese student, we often make translanguaging between Chinese and English. I think the most obvious result is the production of Chinglish. Chinglish means speakers speak or write English language that is influenced by the Chinese language, Chinese cultures, or contexts. I believe it is a special combination of English and Chinese, and that is no longer regards the name language as each separated entity. Examples show on the slide 人山人海 people mountain people sea, which is described by lots of people. A long time no see, which means I haven't seen you for a long time. Moreover, more and more native speakers begin to accept Chinglish, understanding its meaning and even use it in daily communication. So, how teachers use translanguaging in class through pedagogy. I will give example of learning English in Spanish context, a bilingual space. The first is bringing translanguaging into the traditional curriculum, providing a bilingual environment. Many schools advocate monolingual language or just focus on the target language. The traditional curriculum can be designed with bilingualism. For example, math can be taught in English in one semester. Instruction is in English for the academic year with ESL push-in service. Thus, teachers have chances to make translanguaging in class. Students can flexible use of language. The second is the process of preview, view, and review. In the preview, students use their home language to make sure they have the background knowledge, which is like build a solid foundation. Let's move to the view. The curriculum is in English or target language. Teachers can highlight some words such as vocabulary, translated into Spanish. In this process, teachers should use translanguaging and some specific strategies. In the review, teachers would ask some questions, which is an opportunity to know what students have learned and what they get. They all provide a bilingual environment. Students can use their full repertoire and resources to communicate. Translanguaging in the classroom is not random, rather strategic, planned, and intentional. Additionally, translanguaging is not a concurrent translation because translanguaging is planned and intentional.
Hi, I'm Rohan Wu. I'm going to introduce the theory of code switching. Code switching, from my understanding, is about the phenomenon of the alternation of languages within different social contexts or even within the same sentence. Speakers make choices on which linguistic repertoires to use in different situations based on the rewards and cost of using that particular language. When we first learned about the code switching, it was hard to distinguish the differences between code switching and translanguaging. One of the easiest ways to distinguish these two is to understand that translanguaging believes that all languages have similarities, and people construct meaning and gain understanding through 2 or more languages, where code switching views languages as separate entity, and people chooses which language to use in different circumstances. Regarding the pedagogy and code switching was often linked with translation in language learning and teaching. Often it was regarded as a taboo for students to use their first language in language classrooms. However, many recent research indicates that using code switching in classroom is actually beneficial for learning and teaching. For instance, by allowing students to practice code switching in classroom, it creates an inclusive classroom environment. Moreover, students can enhance their conceptual understanding by practicing code switching. There are also some implications for pedagogical approaches regarding code switching. First of all, teachers need to consider students' first language's influence on their learning, because research shows that when languages are in contact, students use them as resources to help them maximize their learning outcomes. However, incorporating code switching in classroom does not mean to frequently use 2 different languages in classroom without thinking the reason why we're doing this. To solve this problem, teachers could use intersentential switches, which is a switch of languages between sentences, to provide conceptual clarification and reinforcement to help students better understand the meaning. To elaborate on that, my classmate Fiona prepared a simile to demonstrate the use of code switching in classroom.
Hi, I'm Fiona. Now I'm going to present an example of code switching in the classroom. Good morning, class. Today we are going to learn about the new English vocabulary within different contexts. Let's have a look at this sentence. The band booked a studio to record their record. Have a think about the meaning of the words in the text that surrounded the unfamiliar word record. Now, could you make a guess about the meaning of this word? You can have a discussion with your partner.
你觉得这个词儿是什么意思呀？ I think it means
I think it should be Aries and Athena because they're both the god of war.
Okay, who would like to share with the class? What do you think is the meaning of the word? Remember, the meaning needs to make sense in the sentence.
I think the second record means 他们想要保存下来的某件东西。
Yeah, I agree. From this example, we can see that students are using both Chinese and English in their thinking process. The equivalence function in code switching helps students fill in the blanks for an unknown English word or phrase by replacing it with the same word or phrase in their own language. This helps bridge gaps in communication where students may not have the vocabulary to articulate what they need to say. When using code switching as a strategy in the classroom, teachers need to make the environment more supportive and inclusive for all the students and understand why students code switch sometimes. For example, to express themselves more clearly in their native language, lack of the knowledge of using the required language, and so on. Teachers can encourage students to use code switching when they have difficulty finishing the conversation in the required language. Also, if there are students with different linguistic backgrounds, try to avoid code switching as it may make the students confused about learning content. Lastly, Tianyi will make the conclusion for our presentation.
Above all the descriptions from my group members, they indicate that both translanguaging and code switching have some positive relationships between them and pedagogy for language teaching and learning. For translanguaging, it may provide more opportunities in developing linguistic practice in academic contexts. For example, it can help bilingual students understand complex contents and contexts better, find a better way to study for them, and make them willing to participate in the class more. In code switching, it is also good for bilingual learners, whom can use second language effectively based on their first language, understand the concepts in the class easily, and build confidence to them when they study foreign language. On the other hand, using code switching can have an easier class management that can improve students' efficiency in the class. Therefore, I recommend that teachers can use these two theories more in the language teaching.
That is the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.